about what you've been noticing?
I can. So yeah, I would say right now it feels like there's a lot of, I was saying, a lot of competing energies. There's so many things coming up right now with the gateways and the solstice and the 12/12 and all of that. But right lately, I've just been feeling a lot of energy that is having experiences of just a lot of joy, with holidays and being out in nature and doing some fun things and being around people that I love to be around, and it's joyful. And in my neighborhood, we've worked together as everybody in the neighborhood to string Christmas lights, and everybody is getting involved, and we've created this amazing and Christmas light display all throughout the neighborhood that's kind of coordinated, and it's been really fun, and that brings a lot of joy and happiness and all that. So, and a lot of unity consciousness within that. But then there's these other things also taking place that are on the other end of the spectrum. So where it's just kind of like frustrations and trying to get something to work, and it's not going as smoothly all the time. But so it's just, there's both of those things happening, I think. And can, there's good and bad always. There's always good and bad. So, well, bad, that's maybe not the best term. There's always light and dark. There's always a balance, but you just really am feeling those a lot. What about you guys?
So for me, there's just been so much going on. I've been doing a lot of traveling. And so what I am noticing is I seem to be moving surprisingly gracefully through everything that's happening, including all the travel. And one of the places of travel was in Las Vegas. And so we have friends that live there. So we went to visit them. And normally I can really feel, I'm extremely, extremely sensitive to energy. And I usually have to really do some realigning when I return. But I noticed that I seem to kind of ease on through it all with much more ease than usual. So I've also noticed that I am things that were a thing before, like some of my trauma throughout life. I had a traumatic experience on Thanksgiving several years ago. And so I tend to, that's the first thing I think of on Thanksgiving. And I realized I forgot all about it. So I seem to be moving through a lot of my old traumas and letting go of some of the stories that I've been carrying for so long. So that's really nice. That's so nice. That was a big moment. Realizing that, I thought, I'll just say I celebrated. I was so happy. So that was eye-opening for me about how well I've been doing with letting go of, old trauma and releasing that. So I feel much more free in the last couple of weeks. So that's been glorious.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, me too. And that's part of the glory of being a light worker, and learning all these tools. When the energies get intense, you're like, bam, let's do this, let's clear it. And they'll come in, the energies will come in and they'll go, so that's beautiful, Anya.
And how about you, Lilia?
Something I noticed like a couple days before Thanksgiving, the energies were crazy and intense, and I was going to get groceries and people were were caught up in the energies, just coming in so intense, and they were I felt a lot of stress, you know, and some anger, like in the grocery store. And then I went out parking lot, people were honking, and it's like the energies are coming in, but which way do you want to use them? You know, people need to wear their, you know, to wake up consciously and say, hey, there are some really good energies coming in, and I can use them for like good, or I can, you know, not use them and just stay in anger. I don't think they know what to do with these energies, because I just felt like beautiful incoming energies over the holidays. And plus, I think people have been cooped up for like a couple years. So now they're like, don't know what to do with themselves, and they think they can go back to the way it was. And it's like, no, 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 wake up. You know, you guys, this is a chance to do it differently. So I don't know. I think we still have a little work to do with the collective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything is shifting very quickly. And I feel like more than ever, I feel like there's a fast track. Now, for today, I feel like there's this like passageway right now between November and December, but I feel like we're about ready to emerge onto this really fast track. And so, however, we can assist each other to be able to navigate that will be very important. And yeah, it's happening. It's happening fast. And so I feel that whatever we can all do personally in navigating and releasing our stories and releasing a lot of the gunk that comes up and transmuting it faster. There's just this is coming up, and so there's a lot of change happening right now. Yeah, so I can feel it coming. So
Yeah.
it's definitely coming through, and it's coming through strong. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some specific examples of what you're talking about, you know, of how to utilize the energies, how to like things that you're releasing, or how you're doing things differently. One of the things that came to mind as you were talking was, you know, there could be a lot of, so I spent Thanksgiving not with my family other than my husband. I spent it with friends in my neighborhood, and it was relaxed and fun and beautiful. And I was with people I wanted to be with. I could have a whole lot of guilt about that, or well, I should be with my family. I could have family. My family has kind of gotten used to that over the years, so I don't get it as much. But you know, they could give me a lot of flack about that and make me feel bad for not being there with them. But, you know, are those obligations necessary? You know, should I feel obligated to go and do that? Or am I more in service by doing what brings me joy and being in other people's energies that I love and like to be around, where it's a more positive environment? Am I more in service by doing that? And releasing the need to feel like, you know, I don't feel really any guilt at all about doing that. So maybe I was just trying to think of an example. So that would maybe be one example of, I don't need to do something just because that's the way tradition has said that we should do it. Also, I went camping then the rest of the weekend, and I had a fantastic time. I was out in nature. It was beautiful. Again, I was with my husband and a couple friends, and it just all felt so good and nurturing and nourishing. And I was able to soak all that up. So I could have spent that time traveling and putting myself in situations that could, you know, create frustration, could create negative emotions, energy, but I chose not to. And whether that's something that would work for everyone or not, that's okay. That's what that's what worked for me. And so yeah, that's an example I can think of. I don't know if you guys can.
Mm,
um
that was a great example. And we actually did the same thing. We decided to go to Sedona this weekend, and instead of doing the traditional Thanksgiving, and I caught myself saying exactly what you said, like, oh, this feels so good. This feels so good to do something different, to not be part of the same routine, to be out in nature and just doing it differently and doing what I love and doing, being in joy. So yeah, we did the same thing and it felt great.
Yeah, that's the thing to do. Break away from tradition if it doesn't serve you.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Surround and we're so used to, being around the holidays, being stressed, having to do things a certain way. And it's like, break away from it. Hang out with friends, throw a barbecue. We threw a barbecue this year.
Awesome.
It's like, why do we have to have, certain foods during Thanksgiving? So I'm like, just do a barbecue. Keep it simple, keep it casual. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So, yeah, whether it's the different foods you eat or you don't go to all the extent of having all the different things,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
wearing yourself out cooking it and preparing it all day. And then, yeah, it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nobody needs the drama. Bring it in love, bring in casual, just heartwarming conversations. So that's going to be the new it. Yeah.
I was like, everything else is falling apart, so we can let go of some of
Yes.
these constrictions that maybe don't feel, you know, at the highest frequency.
Yeah.
And yeah, so hopefully this continues through Christmas. Let's see what
Yes.
happens. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't invite. Yeah.
Change
Don't.
the formatting with gift giving.
Yes.
Create something different. And I know people have been doing it for a long time and, going about things differently, but we really are in a different space now. And so how do we want to be in creation? I mean, that's really it. How do we want to be in creation? What do we want to create? What do we want to nourish? What do we want to see in 1 month's time, in 1 week's time? Where do we want to be? Because we can be there, and we can be there with a lot of people. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And maybe those are just questions to ask as we're going along, right?
Yeah.
Does this feel good to me? Do I want to do this? Or am I doing it just because I always have, or it's expected, or society, it's a tradition, or it's, my family expects that, or whatever. Do I need to do that? Would it be okay if I didn't? What would make me feel good? So yeah. And if you do love going to see your family and you do actually really enjoy doing all that, then do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
And just invite people you love and raise your frequency. You don't have to invite Uncle Bob or Aunt Jane who triggers you and are constantly telling you what to do with your life. Like, you don't have to do that. You really don't. Honor yourself. Honor yourself. Yeah.
How was it being back in gatherings? How was it being
Oh,
back
I like that.
together with people, right? Because this is the beginning of a gathering.
Yeah,
And I
because
think,
people are like, well, did you get da 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 da?
uh-huh.
It's like, oh, because that's all that was the talk. Like my
Yeah.
mother-in-law came over and immediately she was on one of my oldest sons, like, offering him $100 to get the, whatever.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm just like, ugh, it's like, let's leave that out, we don't want to bring that. Like, I don't know. So you're right. There's a new energy coming in,
Yeah. Yeah. With the
and it's
gatherings. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
we've been in this like conscious what do you want to this conscious, I don't want to say, I'm just going to say it, this conscious warfare the last couple years. It's like
Yeah.
the bottom line is when I'm looking at people and they're going back out and they're not wearing the face covering and stuff like that. I'm like, deep down, we're just really the same. I wish people could just realize that we're coming together and it's changing. We've been separated for the last couple years by this
Yeah.
consciousness stuff that's been going on.
Wow.
So I don't know.
I'm
Like,
still
how are you guys feeling about that?
I was just still thinking about what you were talking about someone offering money. I was like, whoa. I'm like,
I know.
whoa. That's yeah, that's intense. Yeah, I noticed my gatherings were both really beautiful, and there is talk around that. And there was some really beautiful conversations that came out of that because, for some, they started to shut down and feel so burdened by the situation that they felt they had no freedom. And, there were some options coming down the line. And
Were some people there like for it and some against it, or was it all
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Many were already received them.
Okay.
And so, with one person, our conversation was so beautiful because they realized as we were talking, how they'd kind of given up on having any hope or um, maintaining any sovereignty or having rights as a human being, being able to make decisions. And so our conversation was really beautiful where they were able to see that and realize um, they hadn't been actively being conscious with praying or holding light. And so that was something that was she was really grateful for that conversation. And so that just opened up, just opened things up to be discussed. And that was really wonderful. So, and another person really doesn't have anyone to talk to about it. And so they were grateful that they had someone to talk to. So I had a beautiful weekend. So, and the last 2 weeks, it's just been really, really wonderful. The conversations have been civil and lovely and expansive, and everyone's been learning from each other. And to come back together again, everyone's kind of been you know, in a mm, in their holes, per se,
Mhm.
just not out and about and talking. And there's so much fear around that. And so I feel like these last few weeks have lifted that fear. I feel like that's what I'm witnessing, that the fear is lifting and that there's more comfortability in talking and less anger and um, less sadness, and just coming together as human beings and enjoying each other. So yeah, so that's what I witnessed. But yeah, so it's been nice to see the changes. I've I've enjoyed that very much. So yeah.
Catherine, are you surrounded by people of both sides of the situation?
Um, I find that it depends most of the time. No. Well, let me rephrase that. They may be of differing opinions, but it's not necessarily always being talked about. Everybody's, like she said, for the most part, being respectful or just not even going there in the
Yeah, do you
conversation.
think like people are afraid to like bring it up, thinking you're
I
like
think
on the
so.
wrong side? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some of that too, but I'm hoping that at least some of it is like, okay, I have my opinions. You may or may not agree with them, but I can still like you as a person and do that. So I would say most of the people I'm interacting with throughout the day, whether it's my circle of friends or at work, it's just not even a discussion anymore. But then I also went to a neighborhood party, and it did
Come on,
come up
yeah.
in discussion there, and it was like, getting into all the different, not in a disrespectful way necessarily, but very definitely voicing opinions, and what they're talking about. And it didn't turn into an argument or anything, but I just kind of found myself, oh, okay. And if they wanted to talk about it, I just kind of moved on to chatting with somebody else about something different, and it was not a big deal. So I think, there's ways to talk about things, or not choose not to, or not engage, and not necessarily have it be a weird, or have it be awkward or uncomfortable as well. So that's what I've noticed. I mostly am seeing people just disengaging from it, not really getting into a conversation, or if they do, they find somebody else that is of that opinion, and then they start talking, and everybody else just kind of gravitates to other topics. So I guess that's how I'm seeing it play out. I think maybe too, it feels like people are kind of tired of it all anyway. And it's like, okay, let's just move on.
I hope so. I hope so, because I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys getting a feel or a vibe for like 2022? Do you think it'll be crazy, just as crazy, or do you think the energies will calm down? Like politically and every spectrum, energetically.
I haven't really felt into that. So yeah, if you have, I'll see if I can feel anything, but go ahead, Anya. Do you have any?
I have just been feeling that there will continue to be an unfolding of information, and that's a difficult question to answer, because even through astrology, even with astrology, it's pointing the direction that it's going to be pretty wild the next couple of years. But I really, 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 truly feel we can change whatever trajectory is being claimed. And so I really feel that, and this is part of, for me, this is a very intentional life. And so my intention is to continue doing what I'm doing. And so for me, I feel like it won't appear as crazy as it could appear to someone else. So I feel that it's a lot of perception. So even though a lot of information is going to continue to unfold, and there will be a lot going on, I definitely feel that. And a lot of people will continue to feel shocked, and probably have some grief around this. But if we can, I was just thinking last night, how can we speed up moving through our process? How can we really amplify getting through our process faster? Because the more people that are doing this and that are moving through the trauma, moving through it, and raising their frequency, it will be less severe during this next year. So do I feel like this year has a lot that's going to happen? Yes. Do I feel that we're really powerful beings and can change that? Yes. Then there's the other part of everyone's different perceptions as to what's happening, and how tuned in are people. How will everyone treat each other during this? So this is the big part of it, I feel. And so next year is to be determined, and we all have a choice. And so that's kind of how I see things playing out. Yeah, that's, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I think there's going to be much more political upheaval, but at the same time, like people are waking up and they're getting tired of all this stuff.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because I was at the grocery store today, and there was right in the middle of like all these magazines, like a real serious magazine. It looked like a Time magazine. I don't think it was Time, but it was a serious magazine, and it had UFO and aliens. And I'm like, yes, people are waking up. Because years ago it would be like the National Enquirer, like celebrity having, alien babies. But I'm like, no, people are taking this stuff seriously. Like it's just going to continue to build momentum. Yeah. So yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with you, Anya. And I think if anything, we've learned, or at least, hopefully most of us have learned is, you have to, as we've all talked about, kind of just stay in flow and stay in the moment because everything's changing so much. So you can't, I think that's another reason why you can't really predict what's going to happen because,
Right.
and like you said, Anya, we all have choices in how we react and in how whether we participate or engage or not, or do something different. So depending on how you do that, or how much you do that and how able you are to just kind of shift and move and create space, a reality for yourself that is more relaxed. Maybe that's by not being around certain people, at certain times, or changing your trajectory a little. So I don't know if I can explain it, but I think you all pretty well have. But it's just creating what you want. So if you do that, I think it could go pretty smoothly. Not that there won't be bumps along the way and what have you. But the more we try to fight, the more we're going to bump up against walls and blocks and that sort of thing. So people that have not learned that yet, potentially, like you said, will keep getting shaken up with those frustrations and things. But yeah, everything's I think it's just going to be a steady continuation of what we've seen. Maybe less, maybe more, depending on where you're at in your journey. But a steady continuation of that and things coming up to say, whoa, that's not what I thought it was, true, things being revealed, and starting to see through some of what we've been told. So I think just more of that, maybe.
Yeah.
So Catherine, like, do you think, because I know there's still like people out there who think, I'm a Democrat or a Republican, or they still believe in like politics. Do you think more people will be waking up and going, they're not really who I thought they were?
I think people have felt that for a long time. I mean, if you really look at politics, and you hear it in conversation all the time, you can't trust any of them. They're all, you hear that. So it's a game, it's a game. It totally is. And I don't know how that's going to play out. I really don't. Is it going to soften? Is it going to go in a new direction? That's a pretty big institution. It's a program that's very deeply ingrained and rooted and grounded. So it sure seems like it may take time to unravel a lot of that and to make changes. But I do see that we have an effect. Like we do have an effect. You can change things. or find ways around the popular opinion or the opinions of the few who are propagating a lot of the media and then information that's coming through, so I think it's possible that more of us that start to question that and do that, and voice ourselves, the more that it's going to help to dismantle some of that, because it's not sustainable if you have a significant portion of the population that's not wanting a certain thing. So, or not wanting to be forced to do a certain thing, or so with politics, it may just take take time.
I know, but don't forget we had our first light worker run for presidency, so that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think, Anya?
I was thinking that was a great question, because I've actually heard people lately saying that. They're like, this is how I voted, and now what am I going to do? This is all. So I feel like this is across the board. So many people are waking up to a new understanding of what a stage politics are. And yeah, it's just, and as you were speaking, I just kept seeing crumbling. Just it keeps crumbling and it keeps crumbling and it keeps crumbling. And everyone just has to be okay with that and celebrate that. Not have to, but it's like, it's happening. It's not going to not happen now. This is happening. So it is crumbling for a reason. And so it is crumbling. And I, a while back ago, somebody was saying, talking about politics and talking about one thing, one side. I said, I don't defend either side ever. And I said, because there's too many variables and most of it isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what people are defending is not reality. It's a stage, it's a production that's being played. And so this is where people are realizing that it's not real. A lot of it isn't real. The foundation, it's crumbling. It's no longer in existence the way it was meant to be built. So for a very long time, it's been crumbling. But now it's just out in the open. Nowhere to hide.
It's very noticeable.
It's all right there. Yeah, it's all right there. It's like
very noticeable.
No, it's all right there.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. We're going to start over.
That's right. And it's going to crumble and it's going to feel uncomfortable. But it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It needs to be. Yeah. We need a whole new way of doing things. And that's where we're going. And there's no choice but to do it that way. It's just on its way. And we're here and we're part of it.
Yeah.
And, I'm here to make it the best world possible.
Yeah. And, it's funny, like I just saw the guide showing us that somehow, some way, again, like you said, not to put us on a pedestal, but it's the light workers who are going to start taking over, somehow, some way. And we're all light workers. So it's not like we're going to be up here, but it's the new energy. It's about moving energy and clearing energy. That's just how it's going to be. That's just what the guides just showed me. So interesting.
Yeah. We're in interesting times for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Slowly but surely we're getting that ball rolling.
There. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else, you guys?
We enter December tomorrow.
Yay.
Coming up on the eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be an intense time.
Yes, download those energies, go meditate, breathe them into your
Yes.
system. Ask them to clear you, like the eclipse, the solstice. They're all their own energy. It's its own entity, it's its own consciousness. Like breathe those in and just ask them for blessings because they'll be more than happy to fill you with blessings.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And I highly encourage, if for anyone who's watching this, if you don't currently have a practice, if you don't currently have either a quiet time practice, a meditation, breathing, anything in place, being out in nature, something that is constant to recalibrate, it's really important to start now and honor yourself and honor your time and honor the vessel you came in on earth with. So this is a really important time. So yeah, I highly, highly suggest making sure you have a practice in place. It doesn't have to be anything but yours. It doesn't have to be what you learned on Instagram today. It doesn't have to be something off of, it's just yours, just time for you, especially if you have children. Carve out a time and set that aside for yourself and honor yourself.
That reminds me of someone that I think we all know, who had set up a little space in her bathroom because that was the only way she could get away from her kids.
Yes.
So she had this beautiful little some crystals, and so she
Her
would just
feather,
go in her bathroom and have a few minutes, and it probably doesn't have to be a long time, but
she's going to be
whatever
watching this and
works.
laughing. I know.
That's,
we love
that's
you.
great. Yes, we do.
That was awesome.
But
That was awesome.
I just love that. Like, hey,
Uh-huh.
however you can fit it
Do
in,
it.
however you
Yeah.
can do it. That's awesome.
Just
Doesn't
do it.
have to be, you don't have to have a whole room or a whole, like, you don't have to spend an hour necessarily. Just do it your way.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's very important.
Yep. Self-care, self-nurturing. That's the new it. Trust me, that's the new it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're all in service.
Yeah. Find the joys, find the peace in every moment that you can of every day.
Yeah. And don't overdo it. Christmas is coming up and we like to take care of the kids and we like to cook and be the good neighbor who invites you over. Like, it's okay to say no. It really is.
Preserve. Yeah, exactly what you just said. Preserve your life force.
Yes.
Preserve it. Yeah. And it's so important. I cannot, and I'm so glad you're all talking about this as well too, because that just comes up over and over and over again in sessions, is taking care of ourselves. And this is your life force. And although we're all in service, but service to self has to come first in order to provide and facilitate for others. It's just doesn't get any simpler than that. We can sit here and complicate our lives in so many ways, and the most simple thing we can do is take care of ourselves. Everything else falls into place.
And it really is okay. It really is okay to do that. We've been programmed not to, but it is probably the most loving thing that you can do.
And it will be uncomfortable in the beginning. It will feel selfish. It will feel uncomfortable. There will be people who won't like it. Do it anyway.
Yeah, like Catherine said, we have been so programmed to do for others. It's so natural. It's in our DNA. It's the maternal. We want everybody to be happy, and then we just kind of shrink, and our light goes out, and that's not how it's supposed to work. Please, you guys, take care of yourself. Go outside. It's okay to do nothing. It's okay to be bored. Just relax. It's funny that Anya brought this up about her clients because I get the same messages. Like that is the number one message I get from my clients
Mhm.
is like, you have got to take care of yourself. You know, they have to kind of be yelled at because they're so busy. We're so programmed to be busy and to stay busy, because if we're not busy, then we're not worthy or we're not productive. And that's not true. It is so not true. We need you guys here on the planet anchoring the light. You know, we need you to shine and to love yourself. And if you have to say no 100 times during the holiday season, that's okay. You know, the kids don't need an extra present under the closet or under the Christmas tree. You know, they have enough. You know, give them the things that they want, and you know, whatever, you know, but don't feel you have to like go overboard. So many times we do, and it's okay to say no. You know, it's really just about love and being present. It really is.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes to all of that.
So I don't know if we'll have any more holiday sessions, but I wish you guys lots of love. Happy holidays.